Well, hello Internet, and welcome to my Emacs video tutorial. In this one tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install on Mac OS as well as Windows. I'm going to cover all of the basics. I'm going to cover moving around inside of Emacs, editing, repeating, regions, searching, buffers, frames, shells, macros, setting up a programming environment, and numerous other things that I couldn't list because I don't have room. Everything that I cover here is available in a cheat sheet that is in the description underneath the video, and I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Okay, so Emacs is going to work pretty much the same on Mac OS as Linux, so I'm just going to cover Mac OS. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to Emacs for MacOSX.com. I found this is the easiest way to install it, and you just click on this guy right here, and a little box is going to pop up, and this is a DMG file, so you're just going to click on this, and you're going to say open, and then all you need to do here is grab Emacs and drop it into your applications folder. Okay, that is how hard it is to set up Emacs on Mac OS. There is a bug that I'm going to show you how to fix, but first I'm going to show you how to install Emacs on Windows. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go to gnu.org/software/Emacs, and we're going to go right here to Windows and click on that guy right there. And you can see right here all of the directions for how to install it, and I'm just going to click on Nearby GNU Mirror. You're then going to open up your file system, and I am going to go to my C drive. So there that is, and here is my C drive. And then I want to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Emacs. See, Emacs right like that. And I can minimize that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get this version, Emacs, this zip file that's right here, and click on that. It's going to say if I want to save it, and I'm going to say that yes, I do. And I'm going to say specifically save as. It's going to say where I want to save it. I want to go into the Emacs folder that I just created. So there that is. And I'm going to leave the name be exactly the same, and I'm going to click on save. Now I can come down here and click on open, and you're going to see all of the files right here. I'm going to go into the bin folder, and I'm going to click on add pm.exe, and I can just click on extract all. Yes, that's all fine, and everything is running perfectly here. And after that's all done, I'm going to be able to go into my bin folder right here and click on run emacs.exe. And there is Emacs all ready to go. And I can make this full screen, and I can go and increase the font size on it by holding down Control and then clicking on the letter X. Whenever I say I want to issue a control command, I'm going to hold down Control and then click a letter while I keep it down. And if I say I want you to hold down the Meta key, that means the Alt key, and this is on Mac as well as on Windows and also on Linux. The Alt key is the Meta key. That's what I'm referring to. So what I want you to do here is increase the font size so you'll be able to see this. So I'm going to go Control X, and then I'm going to hold down Control again, and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And that's going to allow me to increase the font size so that you'll be able to see it a little bit better on the screen. Now what I want to do is I want to open up my init file. So what I'm going to do there is go Control X and Control F. And down here at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see find file like this. And then down here, what you're going to do is you're going to type / and then follow that up with .emacs. And then inside of here, what you're going to do, I'm going to have a copy of all this so you don't have to memorize it. You're going to paste in exactly what you see right here. And this is going to allow you to install packages, which is what we're going to do a little bit later on. And to save that, you're going to hold down Control X and then Control S. And that is going to save your file. And if you go down here, you're going to see that it wrote exactly what I told it to write. Once again, we can increase the font size by going Control X and then holding down Control and hitting the plus sign to increase the size. Now over here in the Mac world, again, Control X and Control +++ to increase the size. You're going to see all of the things that I pasted inside of there. And this is where I normally use Emacs. So there's a couple other things like, for example, how I set my theme that I used inside of Emacs on Mac. And there's one other thing that you're going to want to add on Macintosh specifically. And what we can do here is just come down here to this line, and this solves a common error. I'm going to say set and keyboard and coding and system nil. And then Control X and Control S once again. and you can see that it says that it wrote that. And there you go. Basically, everything is set up on Windows as well as on Macintosh. And if you want to change the theme over on Windows, let's just go back over into Windows. I can go Meta or Alt, followed by X. And then down here in the bottom of the screen, sorry, there's no way for me to increase that. You're going to type in Customize-Themes. And then hit enter, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different themes that open up here. We can increase the size once again, and let's say I want this one. I clicked on that one, and there it is. It's all set. And I can click on Save Theme Settings. You can do whatever you want, you know, whatever you want. And then click on Save Theme Settings. What these couple lines right here are doing is allowing us to access a bunch of packages that we're going to be able to install, which is going to provide a lot more extra functionality. And to test that these couple lines of code that we added right here are actually going to be working inside of Emacs, you might have to restart Emacs to get this to work. What we can do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key or the Meta key and hit X, and then I'm going to type in list packages and hit enter. And you're going to see a whole ton of different things we're going to be able to add. And later on in the tutorial, I will actually add them. And then let's jump back over into Windows and let's verify that that works. So once again, I might need to restart this. I'm going to test it. I'm going to go MX and I'm going to go list packages and enter, and I'm going to look specifically for something that I'm going to cover here in a minute, which is going to be closure, and I do not see closure listed as an option, so I'm going to restart Emacs. And to restart Emacs, once again, I'm just going to go run emacs.exe, and this guy's going to pop up, and I'm going to retype in list packages, holding down the Alt X key and then typing in list packages. And if I do that, you can now see that all my closure packages are showing up so that I know that my initialization file was set up properly. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mainly just stick in the Mac OS version of Emacs, and you'll just have to trust me that basically everything is exactly the same on both platforms. Okay, so here we are, and what I'm going to do is you're going to have to practice with Emacs to really get into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a large percentage of it, but that's going to still mean you're going to have to spend about 2 hours just practicing all this stuff. But if you follow along as I issue commands and such, you shouldn't have any problem. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. First thing I want to cover is how we can open up help. You're going to go Control and H followed by I, and you're going to see right here a listing of a whole bunch of key bindings. And I accidentally just did something wrong here. It's giving me all kinds of weird errors. So what I'm going to do is the way to stop something that you did incorrectly is you're going to hold down Control and G, and that's going to quit anything that you may have done and fix it. Okay, and after I hit Control H-I, this is going to provide me with a whole entire help system, which is going to be extremely useful. I'm going to hold down the Control key now and hit V, and you're going to be able to cycle through everything. Hold down the Meta key or your Alt key and hit V, and you're going to go back up. So this is one place to bounce around inside of. If you want to see all of your key bindings, once again, Control H for help, and you're going to type in B, and you're going to see down here all of the possible key bindings, like the different commands and such you could ever want to use, are going to be available down here. And you can see that I'm in the upper part of, this is called a frame. You can call it a window, you can call it whatever you want. It's traditionally called a frame inside of Emacs. But if you want to switch down to the bottom part, what you're going to do is the bottom frame is go Control and X, and then hit the letter O, and you're going to jump down to the bottom frame, and then we can increase the text size once again. And like I said, this is going to allow us to see all of the possible different key bindings. Control V, once again, is going to allow us to cycle through, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different things. And you can click on those and test them out and see, you know, what they do and such. But I'm going to cover most of the most important things in this tutorial. So if we want to close that guy out, and what we can do is go Control X and the number 0, and you can see that that closed that down. All right, and there's just tons of these like little commands you can issue that are so extremely useful. Another thing, I was talking about bindings and such. Let's say you have and by binding, I mean these things that I keep talking about. Hold down Control and then hit X and so forth. let's say that you know of a command, Control X B. What that is it allows you to switch buffers. See, each one of these open frames that you have inside of here, they are referred to as buffers, and they are going to be buffers until you save them as files. So let's say you want to get help on a specific key binding, which is Control X B. You want to know what that does. You're going to go Control and you're going to go H, followed by K, and then you're just going to type in Control and X and follow that up with B. All right, and now you're going to see that all the information is available. If you want to jump down into that bottom frame once again, you're going to go Control X and the letter O, and then we can go Control X and Control +++ to increase that. And you can see it provides you with an insane amount of information in regards to what that specific command does inside of Emacs. Another thing you can do is if you want to see all the functions for a specific action, you can also do that in a similar way. Control H once again, and then we can hit A, for example, and you want to see all of the buffer commands, for example. You'll go BUFFER and hit enter, and you're going to see over here on the right side there's another frame, and it's going to show you every single buffer key binding command that you could ever want. And whoops, we're going to go and Control X and the letter O, and now I'm over here, and then I can go and look at all those. And once again, Control V is going to allow you to go down, and Meta key or Alt key V is going to allow you to cycle up through it. All right, so there's a bunch of different ways to use the help system. And if we want to close down the window that we're currently in, I go Control X and 0. I want to close down the other one, Control X and 0. And now we are back here in the original help file. All right, so what I want to do is I want to start working with different files. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and hold down the meta key and X, and I'm going to type in SHELL, shell. That's going to open up my terminal. It's going to work in Windows as well. And I can come in here and use this just like a terminal. Now I can go PWD, which is going to show me exactly where I'm located inside of my file system. I don't want to be there though, so I want to go someplace else. So let's go Control X and O, switch back to that, and go Control X and 0 to get rid of that. So now I just have my terminal open, and I can change myself to a different file system. So let's just go CD and bounce around here a little bit. All right, and I'm going to change into my users directory, and you're going to be using like C drives and things like that inside of Windows, but I'm pretty sure you're well aware of how that's going to work. I'm then going to change into my movie backup folder and change into my, and then do LS and see what I got inside of here. You can see all of my different files that I have set up on my system. And I'm going to change into my Emacs tutorial directory. And then this is where I'm going to start working with some files. And what I can do is go Control X. I'm going to create a brand new file, and then Control F. And it's going to have me down here, find file, and it has me listed as movie backup. I'm going to change that into Emacs tutorial, and then / and I'm going to call this Emacs tut. And you can see new file showed up down there. Now, as you're typing, there's going to be a whole bunch of different things you may want to turn on or turn off. One of the things that I always like to turn on or turn off, well, there's certain things. There's a hard wrap as well as a soft wrap. And that basically just means I'm going to go and shrink my window down here so that I can play around with this a little bit. Now let's go and throw in a whole bunch of text. Now you can see right here how everything, this is what we call a hard wrap, because as it gets to the end of the word, it just breaks the word off and throws it down here. Now, if you want to make this a little bit nicer, what you can do is you can hold down the meta key and X. Another thing you can do instead of holding down the meta key is just to click on escape. I'll do that this time. I'll go escape and X. And what I'm going to do is go visual line dash mode. Oops, spell mode right. And you can see it down here. Visual line mode, visual line mode. And I'm going to hit enter. And when I do that, you're going to see that creates a soft wrap, which is going to make sure that the words aren't broken out, and it's automatically going to resize also as the window resizes. And the alternative to that is a hard wrap, and that would be meta key X followed by auto-fill-mode. All right, but I prefer the visual line mode, and I don't know why anybody would use autofill mode, but whatever. So that's another thing. Another thing you can do is you can shrink text, go Control X and then Control negative, okay, and plus would make it go up. And you can see that you can switch back and forth between those two different options if you'd like to. You can also change your font, and to do that, you can go Meta X, and then you're going to type in menu dash set dash font, and down here you can see all of the different font options that are available pops up. You can select whatever you'd like, and I can just close that out. So that's how you change your fonts. You're also going to be able to customize your theme, like I showed you before, Meta X, and then type in customize-themes. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff inside of Emacs. You could even open up Tetris. So let's go Meta X and type in Tetris, and there you go. You can play Tetris on Emacs. So pretty neat stuff. If you want to switch back to a different buffer, and it's actually a fully functional game, so you can move the stuff around. If you want to switch back to your other file, you're going to go Control X and B, and it's going to say switch to buffer, and Emacs tutorial is listed. Say it is down there, and I'm going to just click on enter, and that's going to take me right back to where I was before. If you do something that you decide you don't want to do, like taking the cheese off of that right there, and you want to switch back to, or you want to undo that, you can just go and hold down the control key and either the /, that's going to get it, or you can hold down the control key X and then click on U for undo. I actually prefer control X U because undo, it's easier to remember. Whatever. Another thing you can do is there's a tutorial system built directly inside of Emacs. To access that, Control H, and then you're going to follow that up with T, and there is your tutorial system. But I'm going to cover everything that's in that plus a whole heck of a lot more. I'm going to go Control X and B to switch back to my Emacs tutorial file that I'm playing around at. Now what I want to do is cover many different ways in which you can move around inside of Emacs. Alright, you can see my blinking cursor in the upper left-hand corner. What I want to do, I already covered Control V is going to move you down pages, and Meta V is going to move you up pages. If you want to go to the previous line, you're going to go Control and P for previous. See, it's bouncing up and down inside of there. If you want to go to the next line, Control N for next. So previous, and there's next. You're going to be able to jump forward by words by going Meta F for forward. So very quickly jump around inside of here. You can jump back a word by meta once again. And meta, I mean alt, back like that. So forward and back. You're going to be able to jump forward sentences by holding down meta E. So see, jump the whole way through the whole entire thing right that. And you're going to be able to jump backwards in sentences by, and I remember that with the E for sentence, okay? And then the A, you're going to go backward sentences. So you can see how quickly it's going to be to move around inside of your different files. You're going to be able to jump in multiple different paragraphs with what I call a big forward. That's going to be a meta. And then you're going to have your curly bracket pushing towards the right. And then you can do the left curly bracket to jump backwards. And once again, that's the meta key and the backwards. And then you could jump to the very beginning of the buffer or your file by holding down the meta key and then clicking on the less than sign. And you can jump to the end of the buffer by holding down the meta key and hitting the greater than sign. Another thing that's really useful is to be able to jump to specific line numbers. Now to display line numbers, you're going to go Meta X again. And you're going to go LINUM and dash mode. And now you have line numbers. And what's cool about that is you're going to be able to go Meta G followed by another G and then jump to a specific line. So let's say I wanted to go to the 13th line. I just hit 13 and I jump directly there. I use that constantly. You're also going to be able to go forward a character. You're going to be able to use your arrow keys inside of Emacs, but it's actually, once you get used to Emacs, you'll probably use these shortcuts in it anyway. But you want to go forward, you just hit Control F. You want to go back, Control B. If you want to go to the end of a line, Control E. And if you want to go to the beginning of a line, you're going to go Control A. All right, and those are the main ways you're going to move around inside of Emacs. And now I want to show you exactly how we can jump around and edit files inside of Emacs. Now, if you want to quit Emacs, and I don't know why you'd want to do that, you just go Control X followed by Control C, and that is going to give you the option to whether you want to save your file or not. You can type in Y, no, da 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 da. What I'm going to do is hit Control and G to cancel quitting Emacs because I never want to do that. And also, you're going to be able to open or create files, of course, by going Control X and Control F for file. Execute file is kind of the way I like to remember that. You're going to be able to save files by going Control X followed by Control S for save, and that wrote that file for me. We can also undo things inside of Emacs, of course. Covered this before, but let's just come in here and type in a word and then say I don't want it. I just go Control X once again. Whoops, cancel that out. Control X and U, or I could go Control X and /, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get rid of that. Let's go and switch back to our regular one. Control X, this is going to stay in the buffer that I'm currently in, or close the other one, however you want to refer to it. You can also come in here and I'm going to show you how to do selections, but currently I haven't done that. So if you want to delete a selection that I have like this, you're going to go Control and W, and you can see that went away. I'm going to go Control X and U to bring it back. You can go and delete a whole ton of different things. Let's say I want to delete the word that is in front of my current cursor position. I can do that. I'm going to go Meta key or Escape D. And there you can see KitKat went away. I'm going to go Control XU to bring KitKat back. I'm going to be able to kill every letter to the end of the sentence by going Meta key K and K. See, all went away. Control X, undo, bring it back. I can kill up through a character. Here, I'm going to go and Meta key Z. And let's say I wanted to kill the whole way up to the letter B. I can do so. And there it went away. I could kill the next two words. In this situation, I'm going to go Escape 2 and Escape D. And that took away two of those words. And another thing that's neat is I'm actually going to be able to come in here and copy and paste. And what I can do is I'll actually paste in this situation the very last thing that I went and killed. And to do that, you go Control Y. And you can see KitKat pops back up inside of there. And Control Y is referred to as yank. Of course, you're also going to be able to come in here and copy things. So let's say we want to copy melted. We can do so. I'm going to show you here in a second how to create what are called regions for selection, so you don't even have to use your mouse at all, which is really cool. So let's say I want to copy melted. I can just go and Meta key and W, which I like to remember with the key phrase take with. So I'm going to go Meta key W. So there you go, got that. And now what I can do is come down here and paste it. And remember, that's yank, which is Control Y. And there's melted. And why we refer to it as yanking is we are actually yanking it off of what is called the kill ring, or all of the different pieces of text that you have killed. And you can actually show all of the text in your kill ring by going Control and H, and then you're going to follow that up with V, and then you're going to type in kill-ring. And that's going to show everything that you have inside of it. Once again, Control X and the letter O to switch to it. And then we can increase the size. And you're going to see all of the different things that I have copied and pasted and so forth and so on. Let's close that. Control X and 0. And now I'm left with just this guy right here. You can then go and cycle through the kill ring and copy and paste or yank each of the different things inside of it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste the next kill ring item. So I'm going to go Control and Y, and you can see I got melted. And if I want to get the next thing on the kill ring, I go Escape and followed by Y, and you see there it is, Escape Y, and you can see all of the different things that were previously killed, which is really cool. If I want to jump back to the beginning of the line, once again, Meta key and A, that's going to jump to the end of the line. And once again, I can go meta key and E. And then if I want to delete the sentence that this is, I'm going to go Control X and backspace and delete the entire sentence. See, as you practice all of these different commands, eventually they just start to stick in your head. And I remember when I first started using Emacs, within the first day, whenever you're first starting off, it seems so complicated. But once you start playing around a little bit, it just starts to stick. Another thing you can do is you can define that you want to repeat something, a command, numerous different times. And how you do that is you go Escape key and the number of times that you want to delete it. So let's say I want to move up 2 lines inside of here. How I do that is I go Escape followed by 2, and then I go Control P, and I just moved up 2 lines. I can move up more lines, so we'll go Escape and 4 and Control P, and you can see that's another way to very quickly move around on your screen. Now I want to get into regions, because this is what's going to allow you to select without using your mouse and things like that. So I'm just going to come in here, and let's say I want to select the breadless burger. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set what's called the mark, and you do that by going Control and space, and then you're going to want to move your cursor to the end of whatever your selection is. So I'm going to come down here to burger. All right, so I got that guy, and then I can go meta key W, and that's going to go and kill that guy right there. And of course I can go Control Y and paste it right back inside of it again. I can also select whole entire areas. And how I do that is I go meta key and H, and I like to remember that by whole. You know, I have W-H-O-L-E, but I refer to it as whole with the H, and that's how you select that. You could select a whole entire buffer by going Control and X followed by H. Once again, whole. That's going to select your entire buffer. You're also going to be able to define how many words you want to select from wherever you are. And to do that, you're going to go Escape, the number of words that you want to select. Let's say I want to select 4, and then I'm going to go meta key, Shift, at, and then you can see I grab the next 4 words, and I can do a copy and paste or do whatever I want in that situation. Once again, Control W is going to go and delete that. And once again, Control XU is going to undo that deletion, and so forth and so on. So there is a way to work with regions and to be able to copy and paste inside of Emacs. And now I want to cover searching and replacing. Now, if you want to search throughout your file here for a specific word, what you're going to do is go Control and S for search, obviously, and then a word that you want to search for. You can type in cheese, for example, which I know shows up, and it's going to show you all the different locations for cheese across your entire file. You're going to be able to go and hold down Control and S, and it's going to cycle through all of the different cheeses inside of your file until it gets to the very last one on the screen. You're going to be able to also search backwards. To do that, that's going to be Control and R, and then what you're looking for. Here I'll look for tortilla. Oops, go and get rid of that. All right, Control G. All right, so I'm going to do it again. Control R, and then the word that I'm looking for, let's go egg. I don't know, that works perfectly fine. And then likewise, I can just keep hitting return over and over again, or Control R to cycle through all of the different eggs in the file. And then I can hit return to cancel that search. You can also do a search for a regular expression. So let's say I wanted to find all of the cheeses as well as regular old cheese inside of here. You're going to be able to come down here and do that. So I'm going to go and actually do it right here. Search for regular expressions. I'm going to hold down the Control as well as the meta key and hit S. And that's a regular expression search is what you see right here. See it right there. And let's say that I want to look for, is it cheese a good one? Yeah. All right. So we'll do CHEESE, and then we will follow that up with an S as well as a star. And you can see that it matched for cheeses as well as cheese. And you can do anything you can do regular expression wise, you're going to be able to do inside of Emacs. And I'll let you go and, play around with that idea. Another thing you're going to be able to do is do a find and replace. To do that, you're going to go escape and then the %, and the query to replace. Let's say that we want to replace cheese with with, and you're going to hit enter, and then it's going to say query replace cheese with. See this down here, and we will say something like gooey. I don't even know. Is that how you spell gooey cheese? I don't know. Well, I'm going to say that's gooey cheese, and you're going to say query replacing cheese with gooey cheese. And then you're going to have different options for that. And if you want to replace just one of them, the first match, you're going to hold down the Y key. If you decide you don't want to replace, you're going to click the N key. If you want to replace all, you're going to go exclamation mark, and that's what I'm going to do. And replace 12 occurrences. And now every place that cheese was previously on the screen, you're going to see that it's now gooey cheese. All right? I'm just using weird text files here. All right, so I can bounce back up inside of here. And so there's a whole bunch of different ways to search and replace inside of Emacs. And now I want to talk a little bit more about buffers. Okay, so I said before that we will be able to show all our buffers by going Control X and Control B, and there they are. I'm going to go CX and O to switch over to my other buffer. There's another command that we have, CX, C++, and then you can see those are all of the different buffers that we have. Going to be able to switch to those different buffers. Let's say I want to go to my Scratch just by going CX and B. And then I can type in the star symbol followed by SC. Then I'm going to be able to go tab, and Scratch is going to show up here by default. See, Scratch way down here. All right. And I can just hit enter, and now the Scratch buffer is going to show. I can go and CX, and let's say I want to, let's increase the size. There it is. I can then go CX and followed by H, once again to select the whole entire buffer to do whatever I would like with it. And I already talked about this before, but if I want to bounce back and forth, let's, you know what, I'm going to talk about this as frames instead. So if you want to close your current window, what you're going to do is my current window is what I just selected there. I'm going to go Control X and 0. That's going to close it. I can close all but my current window by going CX and 1. Well, that's my current window, so nothing else is going to close. I can move to another window. I'm going to go CX and B to open up another buffer, and there is my Scratch one. Let's say I would like to split this buffer. I can go CX and 2, so CX and 2. And you can see I switched it or split it that way. I'm also going to be able to split it horizontally by going CX and 3. And you can see how many of these different windows or frames I can have on the screen at the same time. I can make the window wider by going Control X and curly bracket. I have to go Control X curly bracket to keep doing that. I can also make it narrower, Control X and the opening curly bracket, Control X, opening curly bracket, and so forth and so on. All right, and let's go and let's close everything except for the current frame I'm in, CX and 1. They're all closed. And I'm going to go CX and B to change to another, which is my Emacs tutorial. All right, so there's a whole bunch of other different ways to work with frames or windows or whatever you want to call them. And now I want to start getting into some really cool stuff with like executing shell commands. So you can open up your shell by going meta key X shell, or you can always replace the escape key with the meta key if you'd like to do that instead. And there is our shell, and I'm going to be able to switch into, well, it's actually into it already, so let's go and shrink. And this is going to work just exactly like exactly what you would think it would work like. Another thing that's kind of neat is you're actually going to be able to run shell commands inside of your file. So let's go and switch back over into this. I'm going to go CX and O, letter O. Let's say you have letters that you would like to sort, or words. Let's make it a little bit more complicated. So let's say I have Bob, and I have Dave, and Alice, and Cat, all right, or Kathy. And let's say I would like to sort those. I actually can do it. I'm going to come in here first off, and I'm going to select this. I'm going to go Control and Space to select it. And then I'm going to go Meta key E to select everything downwards. Then what I could do is I can go Escape and then the pipe symbol and sort and hit Enter. And it's automatically going to alphabetize or sort all of those different names down inside of there. So that's kind of cool. And I can actually replace the selected text. Let's go. I have this selected once again. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Escape, 1, Escape, again, pipe, and then I'm going to type sort in again. And you can see that it went and made that change directly inside of my file. So it's so cool. You're going to be able to use all these different shell commands directly inside of your text files, which is just mind-blowing and adds so many numerous different possibilities. So that's another cool thing you can do with Emacs. Another neat thing you can do is you can create what are called macros. And basically what a macro does is it records actions and then it replays those. So how you would record a macro is you are going to come in and you're going to do Control X, and very often you're going to see control referred to in documentation as CX, okay, so like that, and meta key X, okay, just thought I'd cover that, and then you can have escape X instead, and so forth and so on. But let's talk about recording a macro. How it would work is you go Control and X, and then your opening parentheses, and then you're going to perform a whole bunch of different actions, and then you are going to follow that up with Control X and your closing parentheses. And then to run it, you're going to just go Control and X followed by E, and that's going to play your macro. And here I'm going to show you an example of exactly how to do that. So let's say that we have a whole bunch of a list with a whole bunch of numbers in front of it. All right. And what I want to do is I want to create a macro that is going to allow me to switch or is going to remove these numbers from each one of these names. How do I do it? Well, what I'm going to do is go Control X and open parentheses. And down at the bottom, it's saying defining KDB macro. I'm then going to follow that up with escape Z. And what that basically means is I want to delete up to whatever I say. And that's going to be the space. And you can see I deleted everything right there. And then to close my macro, I'm going to go Control X followed by a closing parentheses. And now what I can do is I can go down to the next line. And then to execute the macro, I can just go Control X and E, and go down to the next line and Control X and E, and it's going to perform, you know, it can be numerous different commands in a row. So let's go and undo that. And well, another thing I can do is I can actually show my macro that I just created. So I'm going to go Control X and Control K and hit space, and it's going to show the macro down here at the bottom of the screen. So escape Z space. All right, so there it is. And it can be much more complicated, of course. I can then, let's go in here and go Control X undo. Oops, go Control G to cancel that. And then Control X undo, Control X undo, Control X undo. And now what I want to do is play my macro just by clicking on the letter E. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to start off right here. I'm going to go Control X and opening parentheses. And then I'm going to go escape and Z and delete up through the space. And then I'm going to go to my next line and I'm going to go Control X followed by E. And now what I'll be able to do is just hit E and no Control X, and it automatically goes and executes that. I'm also going to be able to save macros. Let's go Control X and U. And how I can do that is go Control X followed by Control K. And let's say that a good name for this would be something like, well, then type N. And it's going to say name for last KDB macro right down here at the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to call this delete line dash number. All right. And there it is. And now it's saved. And I'm going to be able to use that macro. Again, I'm right up here and I want to delete it. And how I would do that is here I'm going to go meta key X. And then I'm going to type in delete line number like that. And hit enter and it automatically worked. So pretty cool stuff. A couple additional things I can do. Let's say I want to count the number of words and characters I have here inside of this. I can do so. And to do that, I'm going to select this whole entire thing. I'm going to go Control and space, and then I'm going to go meta key and E to select everything. And then I'm going to go meta key and equals. And if we then come down here, you're going to see that the region has one line, 29 words, 187 characters. I could also come in and convert all of those to uppercase by going Control X and Control U for uppercase. And whenever you do this for the first time, this is actually a disabled command. If you want it to actually execute, you're going to have to hit Y. Very often you're going to see things like that. So I'm going to hit Y. And then it's going to say enable command for future editing sessions. and I'm just going to say Y, why not? And you can see everything is uppercase now. I could then convert it to lowercase. I'm going to go Control X, and then I'm going to go Control and pipe. Whoops, let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to go meta key and A, and then I'm going to go Control and space, and then I'm going to go meta key and E to select everything. Let's change it all to lowercase. I'm going to go Control X, and then Control pipe, and once again, and Control L. And once again, you're going to see that this is not something that, this is currently disabled. So I'm going to say, yes, I want it, and yes, I want it in future sessions. And now you're going to see everything's in lowercase. Another thing I should probably talk about, is something I haven't talked about, is this thing that's been on the screen the entire time. This is called the mode line. And as you probably guessed, this is the name of your file right here. This is the current line you're on, 29. This guy over here, there's a couple different things that could be. If it has ** dash, that means that the file has been modified but not saved. If it just has 3 dashes, that means it's not been modified. If it has 2% signs, that means it's in read-only mode and not modified. And if it has 1% sign and a star, that means it's in read-only mode and it has been modified. And then we have fundamental over here. There's a whole bunch of different modes that are available. Fundamental is the default mode. Then you're going to have text mode. There's numerous modes. There's hundreds of modes. I can't cover them all. I'm going to cover the most common. Then you're going to have text mode, which is going to be used whenever you're mainly going to be working with text files. You're going to have paragraph indent text mode, which is when paragraphs should be indented. Indented text mode, which is going to be used for outlines. And switch. And if you want to switch to a different mode, all you need to do is go escape and X or meta X, and then you're going to type in whatever mode you want to use. So if you want to use text mode, you're going to type in TEXT-MODE and hit enter. And now you're going to be in text mode. And if you look down here, you're going to see that this says text. Okay, so that's how you switch to all of the different modes. Once again, if you want to switch back to fundamental mode, you're going to go meta X, and then follow that up with fundamental dash mode. And now you are in fundamental mode, as you can see right there. And then we can go and do whatever we want to do after that. All right, so covered a whole bunch of different things. And now what I want to do is cover how you can program using Emacs, specifically using Clojure. Okay, so you can program with any language inside of Emacs, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up Clojure today, because Clojure is very often programmed using Emacs. And I'm actually going to do it in Windows. Now everything is exactly the same in Windows as it is in Mac. Well, actually the shell is different, but what I'm going to do here is in essence going to be exactly the same. So what I want to do is I'm going to switch over to my other out of the shell. So I'm going to go CX and the letter O, and then I'm going to install some packages for Clojure. If you don't remember, you can see all the packages available by going MX, and when I say M, of course, meta key, and then you're going to type in list packages, and there you can see are all of our packages. And zoom in here. I'm not going to go to the Clojure ones, but this is basically what you need for Clojure. So to install that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in meta key X, and then I'm going to type in package install and enter, and then install package, and what I specifically want to install is Cider. So hit enter, and it's going to go and get all that stuff, and as soon as it's done, and once again you're going to do exactly the same thing on Macintosh as you're doing on Windows, exactly the same thing. See, that's done. The next one I want to do is meta key X and package install once again, and this time I'm going to install Clojure mode, and there it is, done real quick. And the last one I'm going to do is meta key X and package install, and whoops, there it is, and projectile. All right, I'm not going to go into all the details of what all this stuff is. Just know that these are what I'm going to use for programming in Clojure, which is what I'm going to do next. Now, before I do this, what I'm going to do is I need to install another program for working with Clojure, and that is called LineEngine. And here it is, and I already have Java installed. I trust that you know how to install Java, of course. And I'm going to come here and go download LineEngine Win Installer, and I'm going to run it. And this is on Windows. This is how you're going to get it. And this is going to be the directory that you're going to want to go to. And then we're going to go next, and everything else here is fine. So click on next and install. And while that's installing, this is going to be the web address that you're going to go to get that. But if you just type in LineNGen Win Installer, you'll find it also. And open online help, no. Run a closure, repel, no. And I'm going to go finish. Now for Macintosh, I'm going to do something different. First off, I'm going to install Homebrew, and that's available at brew.sh. And to install Homebrew, you're just going to copy and paste this right here and put it inside your terminal and hit enter, and it'll install Homebrew. Then after Homebrew is installed, I can go and get LineNGen and install it directly inside of Emacs. All I need to do is go brew, install, and LineNGen, LeIningen. Okay, hit enter, and all that stuff will install for you. Okay, I'm not going to do it because I already have it installed. Now what I want to do is I want to actually create a project. Okay, inside of Windows, what I'm going to do is I went inside of my documents directory, and you go change directory like this, and let me go down here, CD, and then whatever directory you want to go to, obviously, and then we'll increase the size of this a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, CD, and then whatever your directory is. But first what I need to do is I need to make a directory, and these commands are different in Mac and Windows. I'm going to show you the difference. Okay, so make directory, and I'm just going to call this Emacs, or no, let's just call it closure tut. Let's do an underscore or a dash tut. All right, so that's good. So make directory, closure tut. So there that is, and then I'm going to change to the directory by just going like that, and closure tut. Okay. Oops, I typed closure wrong. Change directory, closure, tut, and there we are. And then what you're going to do is you're going to type in LEIN, new app, and then whatever you want it to be called. And then I'm going to go dir, and this is on Windows again. I'm going to change my directory to closure tut, which I just created. I can go dir to see everything inside here. You're going to change to your source directory and dir, and there you're going to see closure tut. Change directory once again, closure tut. Whoops, have to do an underscore. Oh, and also make sure after you install LineNGen that you restart your shell to make sure everything's up to date. And there we go, and dir, and there is your core.clj file, which is what we're going to be using. So I'm going to switch over to the top directory, or the top buffer, and then what I want to do is actually open that file. So this is going to be CX and CF, and then I'm specifically, it's looking in my Emacs directory, which is not where I want to go. So I'm going to have to change that. And where I want to go is exactly what you see in front of you here. So this is going to be C and users, and that is the full directory for where I have my file at. Yours might be different, obviously, unless you have a Derek Banas directory. And when you do that, it's going to open up this file that you see right here. And now what I want to do is I want to split my window. So I'm going to go C and X and 3. And I can open up a REPL here. I'm going to go meta X. And then I'm going to type in cider -jack -in. And this might take a second to start up for the very first time. And you can see the REPL started down here, and come in here, and I can zoom in a little bit. Now I can bounce around to the different parts here by just going CX and O, and there I am in my code window. And I'm not going to get a lot into closure here, but I'm just going to do a little simple thing just to prove that everything's working. So I'm going to go print line, and I'm going to say hello, and I can actually execute this line by just going Control X and then Control E. And whenever I did, you can see hello prints down here, right like that. And I can also come in here and execute main if I would like to. All I need to do is come in there and then do a dash and main, and you can see it prints out hello world. So there, everything is working on the Windows end. And now I'm going to go in and show you exactly how to do the same thing on Mac OS. Okay, now we're going to fix a common little issue that some people have with Mac OS. So what I'm going to do is go meta key X, and I am going to install another package. So I'm going to go package install, and the package I'm going to install is exec-path-from-shell. and that's done. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up our Emacs file. So Control X, Control F, and .emacs. There that is. And then we're just going to put this line in right here, exec path from shell initialize, and then we're going to restart Emacs after we save it, of course. Then we go meta X and open up the shell by typing in shell, of course. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our directory where we want to create our closure file. And I'm going to change to my Emacs directory, Emacs tutorial, where I'm keeping all these files. And then to create our closure file, you're just going to go LEIN followed by new app and closure tut, and make sure there's a space between LEIN new and, you know, like that, exactly like that. Hit enter. And there the project has been created. So I'm going to go LS to see all of my different files that I have here. And I'm going to go change directory to closure-tut LS and change directory to the source directory, and then change directory to closure_tut and then ls, and there is our core.clj file. And then I'm going to switch over to the other part. I'm going to go CX and the letter O to jump to the other buffer. And then I'm going to open up that file with CX and F, and it's going to say what file do I want to specifically get. Then I'm going to get my current working directory for my file. I'm going to go Control and space, and then Meta E to select this whole entire thing, and then Meta W to copy that. And then I'm going to switch over to the other buffer with a Control X and letter O. I'm going to go CX and CF to open up my file, and then I will paste down inside of here the file that I want to open. So core.clj, and there it is. And there is my file, and everything's exactly the same, of course. And I can go down here to the end, and I can execute something. So just to sample this, I'll just go print line again, and I'm going to go hello, just like I did before in Windows. And at the very end of that, I can go Control X and Control E. Well, actually, I want to start a REPL first. So let's go and do a meta X. And then I'm going to type in citer-jack-in, and it'll start that up. Boom, there it is. And we can zoom in here just to make sure you can see that. I'm going to go CX and O to go back to this guy. And then I'm going to go print line and hello. And then I can execute it by going Control X and Control E. And you can see it printed hello there. And then I can switch back over into the REPL and CX again O and run the main file. And it's going to print hello world. All right, so there you go, guys. That is a heck of a lot of information about Emacs. Hopefully that helps a lot of people out there. And like always, please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.